Hey there, welcome to the sermon preview for this week. Looks a little bit different. We're on a Zoom call today, and the reason for that is we have a guest speaker that's coming in to preach for us this coming Sunday. And so this is Phil Harmon, and he is a friend of mine from seminary back in our seminary days a few years ago. And so we met then and became pretty good friends through that. And so he's come in to bring the word for us on Sunday. So, Phil, why don't you just take a couple minutes and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, as Nick said, I'm Phil Harmon. I met him at seminary out at Wesley a couple years ago. I live in Columbia City, Indiana, just down the road a wee bit from Shipshewana. I am married to my wife, Ashley. We have a daughter, Charlie. She's 2.5 years old, so she's a big handful. Right now, I serve at Columbia City United Methodist Church as the associate pastor. And actually, at the end of the year, I'm stepping out. My wife and I and our team are starting a new church here in Columbia City. So that's our new adventure that we're heading towards right as I finish up the last of my extended schooling that I've decided to dive into. But that's what I do. So I preach here at Columbia City and then work to plant a church.
Yeah, so really excited for you, Phil, and the ability to plant this church and share with everybody what's the name of this church. I love the name.
Yeah, so it's Blue River Community Church. Blue River's kind of a little tiny creek that runs through Columbia City, kind of the heart of everything in the town. So everything's named after it. And so we wanted to be a church right in the middle of the town that aims at a group that's not being aimed at by a lot of our more outskirted churches. And so we want to be the heart of the church, right in the heart of town, kind of aiming at the underserved population here in Whitley County. And so we're just starting to get going with it, going through all the hoops and red tapes that are required to start nonprofits. But we're really excited. My wife and I and our team are really on fire. It's been on our hearts for a long time. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's been fun to see how things have developed for you and beginning to get organized and ready to launch before too long. It seems like it's been a long journey for you, but you're making progress every single day. So, okay, Phil. So, really excited to have you here. For those of you that have never heard Phil preach, which is probably everybody except for me, Phil's a really gifted speaker. I've always enjoyed listening to him, and so this week we're diving into our Advent series. So this will be our first week in Advent, where we're anticipating the coming of Jesus on Christmas Day, but then also the second coming of Jesus at a time that we don't know. And so, kind of our theme for this series, and our series title is prepare. And so the theme is this idea of preparing for the coming of Jesus, whether it's preparing for our hearts for celebrating the coming of Jesus the first time, or it's preparing our hearts, our minds for Jesus's, his arrival the second time. And so, Phil, you're tackling this first Sunday for us, and we're going to be looking at Luke chapter 1, verses 26 through 38. So just take a couple minutes and give us a little bit of a sneak peek on what are some things that you're going to be talking about on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Advent is actually one of my favorite seasons of the Christian calendar year. So to get to kick it off, I kicked it off this week at Columbia City, and I'm kicking it off again here at Shore. So on Sunday, I made sure I printed out the right message here for CC. But we're looking at the angels coming to Mary and telling her what's going to be going on. And so kind of the take on it is we have a weird theology of angels in the United States. And so what I want to do, we're going to be looking at who angels are, what their purpose was, and sort of this kind of beyond belief part of Christmas. Like when you really think the story out loud, angels visiting, a star that moves in the sky, a virgin who becomes pregnant. There's a lot of supernatural God stuff happening. And so with the angels visiting Mary, there's a challenge there. She's young. She is, just starting her life with Joseph, and she has this wild thing told to her. And so we're going to be looking at how angels kind of bring a message of challenge to us. And sort of the questions the angels ponder to Mary and to Zechariah and to the shepherds, and that they bring to all these people. And the same question brought to us: are we actually prepared And maybe what do we need to do to answer that question in the yes, we are prepared for this next coming of Jesus? Because Advent's not about the coming of Santa Claus or the baby Jesus, like you said. It's this expectation for the coming of the reigning king for eternity again. So are we prepared? Are we ready? And what messages has God sent to us that maybe we need to learn to respond to in a positive way to really set our hearts to prepare for his coming again? So
no, that's fantastic. Really looking forward to that. So I do have just a question for you in this. So you mentioned sometimes we kind of gloss over some of the supernatural things that happen. And I wonder, like, is that because it's something that we've heard the Christmas story year in and year out from the time that, for those of us that have been in the church since we were babies, we've heard it every single year in multiple different locations at church, at home, have we started to take for granted the wonder and the amazing things that have happened in the Christmas event?
Yeah, I think it's twofold. I think it's that. I think we become numb to the wild supernatural that is the Christian faith. There's God who parts seas, that causes plagues, that feeds people in a desert, that water springs from rocks, just even staying in Deuteronomy, Exodus, right? Not even moving too far. And the same thing in Christmas. There's a virgin birth and angels and moving stars and prophesied births and babies bouncing in wombs at excitement for their cousins, right? So we gloss over it. But I think the second thing is that we like to be able to explain things. And so when I think our Christian mind goes, I would like to have a rational explanation. And sometimes the easiest thing is to just ignore the wildness that's really going on. And so I think, coming from a Wesleyan background where I'm at, a friend of mine who's a pastor has said the Wesleyan church and all of its Methodists and Nazarene and all those could use a little bit of Pentecostalism in them, a little bit of fire of the Spirit. And I think that's part of the other reason why we tend to gloss over it a little bit is we like to be able in American Christianity to explain. And when we come across something we don't explain, it's easier to ignore it than to live into the unexplainedness that is the greatness of God. So no, that's awesome. Thanks for that. So Phil, if you could challenge the church with one thing, maybe a kind of a reflection question, what would it be leading into Sunday? Yeah, I would say spend some time this week in prayer and in like some of that silent moment when you're not filling your brain with all of your praises and all of your concerns, sit in there and see what is it maybe that God has put on you that you need to set aside or grow in so that you are more prepared to be a disciple this Advent season and past it. I think sometimes we spend so much time pushing aside those things and trying to say like, well, I wonder if this isn't the right time or I'm not ready or whatever. And to say, what would I need to do to be ready to do what I'm hearing I'm called to do? For me, for a long time, it was saying yes to go to seminary. And I kept making excuses and it just kept getting there. And I had to prepare myself and I finally stepped into it. Recently, it's been stepping into planning a church, right? So it's nice having an office and all those good things. But sometimes what do I need to do to prepare myself to say yes? And so that's the challenge. In your heart, what's God asking you to do and how do I need to prepare to say yes?
Yeah, that's good. Awesome. All right, Phil, we are looking forward to having you here on Sunday. I hope you all that are watching are as excited as I am. And we'll see you then, 9:15 Sunday. Take care.